This is a Broadcast Devices tutorial.
All right, the next thing we'd like to show you is BDI's brand new model SCA-200 dual 67 kilohertz SCA generator. Now, I got one right here behind me in the rack, and you'll notice the lack of controls on the unit because there are no physical controls on this unit because it's DSP based and SNMP controlled. Each generator has an A and B input, which is XLR balanced, and two independent outputs that are 50 ohm BNC. So in the next installment here, we'll take a look at the setup and show you how easy it is to control and set up the SCA-200. Now, this is an HTML5 browser interface, so it's free from Adobe Flash, as all of our products are now. And what you'd basically do is go in and set up the unit name, username, password, SNMP read and write communities, the SNMP port, and of course the IP information, IP address, IP mask, default gateway, and DNS server. And once you've done that, hit the save button, and that's in there for good. And always a good idea to take a screenshot of this. Anytime you're doing any kind of password saving or changes to IP configurations, it's always good to take a screenshot and tuck that away in a safe place. All right, let's take a look at the SCA-200 Windows application that we created for this product. This is an app that you install on a Windows machine that's compatible with Windows 10 and previous editions of Windows, I think going all the way back to XP. First thing you would do is go to the Connect screen, and you would enter the IP address and port information, read and write community that you saved in the initial HTML5 browser interface connection. And once you've done that, click on Connect. That will connect with the unit. It'll bring up the unit name that you've saved, firmware revision, and the serial number. Of course, the firmware revision, again, is a good thing to have handy in case you need service. You can tell us what firmware revision it is. So let's click on the Control tab, and as we said earlier, this is a dual SCA generator. We have two completely independent SCA generators, so you can set them up independently from one another, channel 1 and channel 2. So let's go through channel 1 because channel 2 setup is exactly the same. We have an input select control. This unit has two inputs, balanced XLR inputs, so you can select between those or an internal tone generator. Now, in addition to being able to do this with the app or via an SNMP browser or any SNMP software or a third-party remote control system that's SNMP compatible, there's also a hardware Gpio on the rear panel of the unit so that you can select between A and B inputs. Now, one example of where you might use this is if you wanted to interface the generator with an EAS generator receiver and you wanted to interrupt the program audio to insert EAS information and you wanted to trigger it from the EAS generator, you'd be able to do that with the Gpio. So that's just one example. Next, you have the input level control. That can be adjusted in 1 dB increments or 1/10 of a dB increments for a fine trim, and you have a plus and minus 10 dB gain range. And again, that's independent. The A and the B input can be set for different levels if necessary. Next item for setup is preemphasis, and we can select between 50, 75, 150, 225 microseconds, or you can turn it off. So let's go ahead and select 225 microseconds. The next audio option you have is a filter, a low-pass filter, which you can either have bypassed or you can set for 10 kilohertz or 5 kilohertz. Let's go ahead and set it up for 5 kilohertz. And then the mode control. So this allows you to turn the unit off, turn it on, or put it in the auto mode. And the auto mode is a traditional SCA generator auto mode, whereby if the audio is removed from the input of the unit, that the SCA output will mute after so many seconds. And again, this is another item that can be controlled by the parallel Gpio or any of the other mentioned SNMP interfaces. And then the last thing you need to do is to set up the output level, and otherwise known as the injection level that would be fed to adjust for the particular exciter. And so this unit has two independent 50 ohm BNC outputs, so they can be adjusted accordingly. And again, plus and minus 10 dB gain range in 1 dB increments and 10th of a dB increments. So once you've done that, the unit's all set up, and you can go ahead and operate the SCA generator into your transmitters, and that's all you need to do.
Quality products, quality service, and quality solutions from Broadcast Devices.